Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today we're going to be talking about fantasy books that are on my radar. These ones are mainly probably going to be adult fantasy books, but I may sprinkle in a couple young adult fantasy books, but majority of them are going to be adult. I am so sorry. I mentioned in my last video that I do have a cold. I am just getting off of it, so I'm sorry if I sound a little under the weather. It is because I am. It went through my whole household and I'm still waiting for it to go away, but I needed to film these videos. So, like I said in my last video, I'm going to do this as a screen record on my computer. You will hear me talking, and I figured I have these tables on Goodreads that are going to have the categories of these genres on my radar. I do have one more video going out after this one for the romance genre, so if you want to know what romance books are on my immediate radar, then stick around. That video will be coming out soon. But if you wanted to see fantasy romance, that was my previous one, and I do have one in October that was mystery thriller / horror, so I will leave all these linked down below for you guys so that you can check them out. And yeah, so we're just gonna get right into the video. Okay, so we're on my Goodreads. I'm gonna go down here. I have fantasy on my radar, and you'll see that this one is way shorter than the fantasy romance, so I'm going to try and make this quicker so it's not as long. I'm gonna click on that. We're going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in, I think, a little more. I hate that it looks kind of blurry, but we are gonna go with it. So first we have Nevernight, and as you can see, I have already read it. I gave the first one 5 stars, but I did read it in 2019, so I never continued on. I think I didn't have the other books at the time, but I do now. From what I can remember, we're following, Mia Corvair, and she is going to somewhere. Oh, she wants to be an apprentice to the deadliest flock of assassins in the entire Republic, the Red Church. So I do remember quite a bit of stuff that happens in the book, but not everything. I do know that it has those weird footnotes, and I did read them whenever I needed to, but they were a little annoying sometimes, but I feel like they helped build the world a little bit and gave some backstory. Next I have The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I have had this book for a while. I have read another book by her. I think it was like a Peter Pan retelling. But this one says, stop the magician, steal the book, save the future. That's all I really remember about it. I think there might be some found family. It says time travel. In modern day New York, magic is all but extinct. The remaining few who have an affinity for magic, the magus, live in the shadows, hiding who they are. Any magus who enters Manhattan becomes trapped by the brink, a dark energy barrier that confines them to the island. Crossing it means losing their power and often their lives. It just sounds really interesting. There is a main character who is a thief, and it sounds like they travel back in time to like steal objects or something, so that sounds interesting. Then I have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, so sorry. I recently just got the 3rd book physically for this, so I'm really excited to get to this one. I do know it's like a little dark. It says an epic historical military fantasy inspired by the bloody history of China's 20th century and filled with treachery and magic. I think there's like some kind of academy or something, and the main character makes it into one, and people didn't think she was going to or whatever, but I think she really has no other choice because of something at home with family or something. I don't know, but it sounds really good. I'm excited for this one, and I love these covers. Next, I have The Final Empire, or Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Everyone pretty much knows what this one's about. It's got some unique magic in it, dealing with like metals and stuff. And this is like if the Dark Lord won, this is what would be happening, I guess. And so many people hype this book up, but I am just terrified to read it because I'm afraid that I won't love it as much, even though I feel like it doesn't have that hype for no reason. I don't know. I'm too afraid to start it, and I don't know. I have the rest of the series, so I don't know. I just need to jump right into it. Next, I have Fable by Adrienne Young. I read Sky in the Deep by this author, and I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite books of all time. And this one, we're following 17-year-old Fable, the daughter of the most powerful trader in the Narrows. And the sea is the only home she's ever known. I know that she's, like, stuck on this island, and so she's been trying to, like, get off. And I think in this story we watch as she gets off, with the help of someone. So, sounds really interesting. I really want to read more from this author. I have just about every book she has written so far, and I love the covers, and I just love her writing and the way that she weaves relationships into the plot. So this one's on this list. So next I have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one says, in a city that runs on industrialized magic, a secret war will be fought to overwrite reality itself. I think this has to do with a thief and some interesting magic. An object that could revolutionize the magic technology known as scriving or screwing, whichever. And I think people are chasing her. I don't know. I just love the cover. I hear good things about this author, so I put it on here. Next, I have Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. I read Red Queen by this author, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was like a overall 4-star read for me for this series. The ending, while I understood, I didn't really care for completely, but this one says, save the world or end it. I know we're following a bunch of different characters, and I think we're gonna get some found family and maybe some romance, but it says a strange darkness is growing in the ward. Even Corian and Armorat can feel it tucked away in her small town at the edge of the sea. Fate knocks on her door in the form of a mythical immortal and a lethal assassin who tell her that she is the last of an ancient lineage with the power to save the world from destruction. So it sounds like a chosen one, and I absolutely love these. And I think it was a nominee for the best, young adults, fantasy, and science fiction for 2021, but I just want to read more from this author, but I think I've been holding out because I want to wait for the rest of the series because I do have the first two, but the third one's coming out next year. Next, I have Jade City by Fonda Lee. So I recently found out that the library added the audiobook, and I'm super excited. I think it says Jade City is a gripping Godfather-esque saga of intergenerational blood feuds, vicious politics, magic, and kung fu. I think that pretty much sums up from everything I've heard about the series, but so many people love this, and I think it just spans a long time and like maybe generations, but I've heard good things, but still I'm a little wary of it, but I really want to get to it because I want to see what all the hype is about. Next, I have Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. Covers with Cassidy. Really enjoyed this one this year, and I already had the first book because of Elliot Brooks, because she really likes the series, so I'm really interested now. Game of Thrones meets Red Rising, and a debut young adult fantasy that's full of rivalry, romance, and dragons. Say less, dragons, that's it. So I think the two characters we're following, I think it's dual POV, but they were both orphaned, but one's aristocratic by birth, and the other is a former serf, which I don't really know what that is, but I'm assuming someone who was more low than the aristocrat people. But yeah, sounds really good. Want to get to it. I had the first and second one, so I'd like to just dive in, and I really feel like splitting up some of these bigger fantasies with young adult fantasies is really nice to do. Next, I have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I've been really wanting to get to this one for so long. It's a Arthurian legend retelling, I think. It says, after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing more to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies. It just sounds so good. I love the cover. The cover is stunning, and I really just need to get to this one already. Next, I have The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This one, again, I know Jade from JD Ray Reads really enjoys this. I think Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy enjoyed the first couple books, I think. But this one is, I think, a prophecy. It says, Kieran is a bastard orphan who grew up on storybook tales of a long-lost princess And Grand Quest, when he is claimed against his will as the long-lost son to a treasonous prince, Kieran finds that being a long-lost prince isn't what the storybooks promised. It just sounds really good, and the way that the stories are told throughout the book sounds really interesting. So I really just want to see what this series is all about. I think I have like the first 3 books, so I just want to give them a try because I have so many of the books, but it just sounds so good. And there's like this dragon on the cover, so I'm kind of like hoping that because it's called The Chorus of Dragons that there's some dragons in it. Next I have We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen. This one has gotten like blips of hype since I've been on BookTube. I've seen people talk about it and then I don't hear about it for a while. Then I hear people talk about it. But it just sounds really good. In the midst of a burgeoning war, a warrior, an assassin, and a princess chase their own ambitions, no matter the cost. In this visceral, emotionally charged debut. I just love these covers. Like, all the covers just look so pretty for this series. Like, look at that. They look so beautiful together. Like, I almost just want to get them so that I can own them and, like, face them all out because they look so beautiful. But anyway, this one has been on my radar for a while. I've owned it for a while. I think I'm just too afraid, and I haven't been in the mood to pick up adult fantasy books, so I'm hoping that 2024 is that year. Next, I have a popular one, and that's Malice by John Gwynne. I know that this one has tons of characters, and I think that's really what's keeping me from just jumping into this one. But I heard his writing is great, his characters are great, the plot's great, story's great. And this one has some kind of prophecy too. Black sun is rising. Young Corbin watches enviously as boys become warriors under King Brennan's rule, learning the art of war. He yearns to wield his sword and spear to protect the king's realm, but that day will come all too soon. Only when he loses those he loves will he learn the true price of courage. I'm just really excited for this one because it just, the cover, I love the covers. All the covers for the fantasy books all look stunning, and I wish I could just buy them all right now, but that's not gonna happen. But I just really want to get to the series too. There's just so many books, like so many series, not enough time. Next, I have The Emperor's Blades by Brian Staveley. Covers with Cassidy. Really enjoyed this series, and again, it was one that I had already had. All it takes is just a couple people to hype a series up, and then you immediately want to read it, but then you're also really intimidated. So it says, the circle is closing, the stakes are high, and old truths will live again. The Emperor has been murdered, leaving the Anarian Empire in turmoil. Now his progeny must bury their grief and prepare to unmask a conspiracy. So I think we're following his 2 sons and his daughter, and they each have a place that I think were sent by their father, so now they're like fighting for the throne, maybe? I don't know, or like who's gonna get it. I don't know exactly, but I'm interested. The cover looks neat. I want to know more about this. Like, what is that? I need to know more. Next, I have another popular one that's The Sword of Kaigan by Emma Wang. It says, a mother struggling to repair her violent past, a son struggling to grasp his violent future, a father blind to the danger that threatens them all. I know that this one has like a really strong mother presence from what I've heard, and it's a standalone. So I really just need to get to this one. I hear so many good things about it, and the fact that it's a standalone, I should get to it sooner rather than later, but it just hasn't happened yet. But I'm hoping 2024 will be the year. Next, I have The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I know this one gets some mixed reviews because it's not told from the perspective of the Justice of Kings. But it says, action, intrigue, and magic collide in this epic fantasy, following Sir Conrad von Volt, an emperor's justice who is a detective, judge, and executioner all in one. But with rebellion and unrest building, these are dangerous times to be a justice. So it just sounds really good. And I think his like helper is telling the story, so we're seeing it through her point of view, I think. So that's gonna be interesting, but I really love the cover, and I want to know if I would like this or not, so I would like to at least try it. Next, I have The Thousand Deaths of Ardor Ben by Tyler Whitesides. I have the physical of the first book, and I have all 3 on Kindle. This one says master con artist Arthur Ben and his crew of intrepid thieves are hired to pull off a series of wildly complex heists, from stealing a crown to saving the world in this daring fantasy adventure. So I feel like there's something with like dragon dung that they get magic from or something. I don't know. It was just so interesting. The old cover did not call to me, but this cover looks stunning, and they're so long though. But I am so interested in this. It just sounds like a really fun fantasy adventure, and I'm just, it has dragons somehow, so I don't know. Liar, Thief, Legend. Sounds great. Next, I have Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. I feel like he has another book coming out, or has come out, that I'm also interested in, but I have this one first, so I feel like I need to try this one and see if his writing is for me. It's an unmissable fantasy debut, an epic tale of intrigue and revolution, soldiers and assassins, ancient magic, and the eternal clash of empires. Again, sounds just... I don't want to say it sounds just like every other fantasy, but it sounds like what you would expect a fantasy to be. So, again, another one on my radar. The Will of the Many by James Islington. I recently read the first chapter of this and I really enjoyed it, although I feel like I kind of want the audiobook because fantasy is really hard to keep my attention sometimes because it's just a lot to take in at once. So I really like having the audiobooks for these books, and I do have some for some of them I've already showed, but this is one that I definitely think I want to follow along with the audiobook to help understand it better. It says at the elite Katanan Academy, a young fugitive uncovers layered mysteries and world-changing secrets in this new fantasy series. I do have the other series by this author, but I hear so many good things about this one that I kind of want to get to this one first, so here's to hoping. Next, I have The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. This one has some kind of tarot magic in it, and that and the cover are literally why I have added it to this list, because I just need to know. Fortune favors the bold, magic favors the liars. Ren is a con artist who has come to the sparkling city of, I don't know what that name is, Nadezra, with one goal: to trick her way into a noble house, securing her fortune and her sister's future. So this one sounds a little different from the other ones, and I think it's like Venetian inspired, so this might be nice to intersperse throughout the year. But I really love these covers so much. Like, they're all so stunning. Next, I have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This one is a cozy fantasy. Everyone probably knows what this one's about, but we have an orc who kind of wants to retire and have a little, I think, little tavern or whatever that she wants to sell coffee and whatever, and it's just a cozy, like, slice of life fantasy, and it just sounds really good, and I hear so many good things about it, so I just want to give it a try and see if I should pick up the prequel that goes before this. I have Helm of Midnight by Marina J. Lostetter. A legendary serial killer stalks the streets of a fantastical city. I know it has to deal something with this mask, and this mask is like imbued with a serial killer or something. It says, in a daring and deadly heist, thieves have made away with an artifact of terrible power, the death mask of Louis Charbon. Made by a master craftsman, it is imbued with the spirit of a monster from history, a serial murderer who terrorized the city with a series of gruesome murders. So, it sounds great. Cover's a little creepy, and I want to know more. Sorry if you can hear the fan on my computer. It is working hard. The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This one I think is like a Aladdin retelling, sort of, or inspired by. And I love those kind of stories, and the cover is beautiful, especially like the paperback I've seen in Barnes & Nobles, but again, that's all I needed to know, and I really just want to get to this one too. Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. I read the first book this year, and I absolutely loved it. So well done. The writing was great. The plot was great. I love the characters. I loved, like, a little bit of a found family aspect kind of between these friends, and I need to know more. And the dragon, I love it. I just love the first book so much, and I just need to get to the rest. So I would like to see more of the series out before I reread this one, because I don't want to have to keep rereading because they're so long. Next, I have The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. This one, I know I first heard about it from Elliot Brooks. She really hypes up this series, and I think Covers with Cassidy really enjoys it. That's pretty much all I really know about it. I know that there's vampires or whatever, and there's like other creatures and stuff, and something about this Ninth Reign. That's all I know. But I hear so many good things about it, and it feels like it's an underrated book, so I just want to check it out. Next, I have City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. Again, I've heard really good things about this author, and I just want to see what he's all about. This one sounds like some kind of fantasy courtroom murder thing. I don't know. It just sounds really good, and I just want to take a chance on it. And I also have the audiobook for this one, so I want to utilize that and try this book out and see if it's for me. Next, I have The Ruins of Gorlon, or Ranger's Apprentice by John Flanagan. This is a new edition. I've seen it a couple times, and it's piqued my interest, but I think it has like an apprentice going on, and like it's a giant series. Like there's so many series that interconnect with this. It just sounds so good, and I think it's like young adult, middle grade in there, and it just sounds so good, and it sounds like something I would really enjoy, because in Robin Hobb's books I really enjoy Fitz, and I can't remember his name, but his like mentor who like takes him in, I guess, and I just love that trope, so I'm excited to see that in this one and see if I like it or not. Next, I have Empire of Exiles by Aaron M. Evans. Magic, mystery, and revolution collide, where an unlikely team of mages, scribes, and archivists must band together to unearth a conspiracy that might topple their empire. Like, looking at the front, I'm getting, like, pirate vibes, but I don't know if that's what it is or not, but it just sounds really good, and I feel a little drawn to the cover, and I don't feel, it doesn't have a lot of ratings, like, people have not read it a lot, but it still has a good rating, so I'm just really interested in this one. The Starless Crown by James Rollins. I found this one at my local Ollie's for just a couple dollars, so I grabbed it because I've seen it before. So it says, an alliance embarks on a dangerous journey to uncover the secrets of the distant past and save their world. And a gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death. Fleeing into the unknown, she is drawn into a team of a broken soldier who once again takes up the weapon he's forbidden to wield and carves a trail back home. A drunken prince who steps out from his beloved brother's shadow and claims a purpose of his own. And an imprisoned thief who escapes the crushing dark and discovers a gleaming artifact, on one that will ignite a power struggle across the globe. Sounds great. Anything with a found family, I am in, and the cover's great, and I know that the second one, I think, came out already, so I really just want to read it and see if I like it. It just sounds so interesting. Next, I have Fortress of the Lost Amulet by Michael Webb. This is, I think, a young adult fantasy, and it's called the Treasure Hunters Alliance, so I know that they're like treasure hunters. It says part Indiana Jones, part Percy Jackson, all fantasy adventure, and this was on the SPFBO this year for round 9, and I didn't end up reading it this year. I don't know what it was. I just was not in a fantasy mood this year. But fantasy romance, I was all for. But I really want to try this one. The cover is just stunning, and the fact that it's treasure hunters, I just need it. It sounds like a fun time. Next, I have Blood of an Exile by Brian Naslund. I think people say the series goes downhill as the books go on, but it has dragons, and it just sounds so good. Brashad stands apart from the world, the most legendary dragon slayer in history, both revered and reviled. Once he was Lord Silas Brashard, but after his disastrous failure on the battlefield, he was stripped of his titles and sentenced to one violent, perilous hunt after another. Now he lives only to stalk dragons, slaughter them, collect their precious oil, and head back into the treacherous wilds once more. For years, death was his only chance to escape, but that is about to change. Sounds really good. I think that it's unique, kind of like what happened with this guy and like what he's doing, so I just want to know more. Okay, so we're almost done. We have The Sword Defiant by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan, and I picked this one because I read, what was it, Warbreaker, and there's a talking sword, and I feel like this one is similar. It says, set in a world of dark myth and dangerous prophecy, this thrilling fantasy launches an epic tale of daring warriors, living weapons, and bloodthirsty vengeance. So, yeah, the weapon, the Sword Defiant, I feel like that is one of the main reasons I really want to read this, because if the sword has a mind of its own and it's its own character, I love when that happens because it's so unique and sometimes very funny and fun to watch. So I'm interested to see how that's going to be incorporated into this book. And finally, the last fantasy I want to have on my radar for next year is The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft. I think I said this was like Sherlock Holmes meets the Warrens and a fantasy setting, and that just sounds so much fun. And I don't know, the fact that the first thing you learn is that this king wants to bake himself in a cake, it just sounds so interesting, and I just really want to get to this. I got the audiobook for this, so I really want to jump into it soon. So this one might be completed at the very beginning of 2024, but we will see. So that was everything on my fantasy books on my radar. I don't know that I'd get to all of these, but these are the ones that, if I had to pick, these are the ones that I would want to get to before any others. So that is everything on this list, and I'm happy that this video is not as long as the last one. Okay, so that was all the fantasy books that are on my immediate radar. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really excited for next year and to get to all these books. There are just so many that I really want to get to, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can get to all of them. Like this video if you liked it, comment down below letting me know what fantasy books that were on this video are ones that you have liked or also want to read. And if there are any fantasy series you think that should be on this list, let me know down below in the comments, and subscribe if you want to. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm almost to 500 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. But until my next video, I will see you guys again soon. Bye!